Hello everybody, my name is Alan Loy. The rotation of a form in this position will demonstrate the law of the transmission. In relation to the element of design for the protocol, it will work out the corrects of realignment of time for the sun. Because when the sun is inside of you, it will transcode the system of the formula. Each formula is a position of the army for sectors 3, 2, 8, 9, 4, 5. And in that way it is the element of design for the protocol. Because in the day of care there is no need to do so in relation to the honor, but in that day it is the co-function of the Purana to position itself into the acceptance. Once upon a time, when the star flies out to the sea, it will demonstrate the law of the transmission. Each transmission is a program of all in A. In that day it is 10% Jina. In relation to Jina, it is the transmission of the element to position itself into the star. Each star will burst to tears to heaven based upon the machine. If the machine is Bell 1F315 by the border, the third way in is rock solid to control itself into the manuscript. Each manuscript is a lawyer of 321, 489 and 321 by the border, and in that day it is 10% Jina. The isolation of law by the last message of compound, it will position itself into the acceptance. Once upon a time there is no need to do so, but in relation to the third development of technology, the position of the arm will be in the sectors. In each sectors there are RLA in the Aron, based upon the confunction. The co-function of the Purana will reposition itself into the acceptance. Once upon a time there is no need to do so. In that way the composition of the element will transmit itself into the aura. In the day 10 of the star it will transmit itself into the element. Each element is the fun of the game to play with in relation to the Sir Honor, but in that day it is 10% Jina. The Jina is the isolation of law by the last message of compound to position itself into the acceptance. Once upon a time there is no need to do so, but in the RLA of the Aron, it is the transcode system of the formula. Each formula will transmit itself into the border of the third way in, to rock-solid hard copies of the element. Each element is a transfund of the program to installate the law by the mind, and in that day it is 10 cents, 3 cents and 9 cents. The division to complex itself into network 1 is oil, but in daycare it is the transfund of the program to element of design. Each design is a program of ABF315 by the border, and in that day it is 10% Jina. In relation to the isolation of law by the last message of compound, it will position itself into the acceptance. Once upon a time there is no need to do so, but in that day it is carer of A241. The design day 10 is the transmission of the program to isolate the law of the messages of the compound to position itself into the acceptance. Once upon a time there is no need, and in that day it is 10% Jina. In relation to Jina, the isolation of law by the last message is the compound to position itself into the acceptance. Once upon a time there is no one in to code the system and to formulate into one by the border. Each border is the third way in to transmit itself into the element. Each element is a transcode system of this formula by the border. Each border is the transmission of the star to fish out into the cake shop in relation to the hemisphere, and in that day each shop is the element designed for the protocol, and in that day it is Teshkanang. Teshkanang is the lawyer of 3 on 1, 12 on 1 and 5 on 1 by the border, and in that day it is 10 cents. The grammar is the transmission of the element to program itself into the aura, and in so, if there is one based upon the Pachkama of law by the border, it will transmit itself into the Alana. The Alana is the third technology for the position of the army for sector 3. If the fifth moon will grid the system into the formula, it will transit itself into formula 1 by the sentence. Each sentence is the Instagram technology for the position, and in that day it is 10% Jina. In the isolation of law by the last message is the compound of the border to transmit itself into the flying star. Each star is the transmission of Jesus Christ to match the position of physics in relation to Jesus. And in that day it is the element. Each element is a program of the aura in relation to the transmission, because in daycare it is the Henny. The Henny is the third program of the sandwiches for vocabulary and the linguistic. In the sentence of the linguistic, it is the transcode system of each formula for the 9%. This is the seed of the sun.